All right. You may not have been waiting for this, but I have. When I gathered Nathan and Gary as the lead folks to set up the program for this day, I said, and we had Rachel was there and Barbara, and we talked before we met with Gary and Nathan. Our goal for today was two things. We wanted to honor Janet in everything that she had done on earth for the church, for the country, for the world. And I said, if we do that, we will accomplish my second goal, our second goal, and that is to glorify God. And I talked to Rachel and Barbara, and without question, we concur that the team that did the service did just that. And so I want to give them a thanks for their great job. I specifically want to thank Nathan, Gary, down there somewhere, Gary, Sharon, Alan, Debbie, Allie, okay, we're missing Lori, and we're missing Sol. Did I miss anybody in that group? Now, as I look out here, there are probably 15 others who could have sat in there and done the job. Maybe not as good, because they did a great job. I also want to thank those of you outside the church that came today to honor Janet. The fact that you took time out of your busy schedule to come here, and you're still here, and we got some other things after this that you might not want to leave yet. That speaks volumes, not only to me, but to everybody else, how much you love Janet. Huge. And when I went through my third script, I said, something's missing here. Something's missing here. Who made this day possible? The Washington Avenue Christian Church folks in this church. They've been working for 2 weeks, scrubbing and getting things coordinated, the logistics. I told Nathan, I said, when I had my military unit, you would have been my quartermaster. Lined up here, right down the line. So I just wanted to thank those groups, because you are the ones that made this happen, and it's a glorious day, and I thank you. Rachel, thank you. For those of you that do not know, the service upstairs was recorded, like we do all our services here. Normally they are rebroadcast on YouTube that night, but we're going to wait because we got tomorrow's service, etc. So from the 21st or about of April, for as long as YouTube is around, that's available. So I may watch it once a week just to appreciate myself. Okay, some of you who know me know I have a reputation to being able to express a sentence in 3 paragraphs. If we get a little long, I got a feeling that Janet's going to let me know that it's time to move on. I have this all scripted. I'm not going to read it all because most of it I know, but toward the end there are a couple things I'm going to read because the exact wording is very precise, as you'll find out. The year that Janet and I were married, who knows what year that was? 1987. That's what it says right here. I thought that. Now, Janet took me to homecoming at Bethany College. That was my first introduction to Bethany College. She also took me a few weeks later to my first General Assembly of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ in the United States and Canada, Louisville, Kentucky, 1987. That was my first one. I didn't know anybody. Janice walking around, everybody greeting her, and I'm like, who's this, who's that, who's that? Maybe introduce me. Nobody. I felt totally alone. I've been to every General Assembly since then, and I can assure you that most of you sitting out here, I know who you are, and you know who I am. That's good, I think, for you to know me. Okay, 37 years, and I've got a chance to meet all you saints out here. It's been a great, great ride together. From the beginning, our marriage was based on love, for sure, no question about that. But in addition to our love, faith was very, very strong, very important. Church attendance, and education. We've already mentioned Bethany College. We got the president of Bethany College right here. Great guy, and we've had a couple conversations. I know Janet, you work very close together. And you have some of your staff and faculty with you, don't you, Jamie? Thank you for bringing them. So Bethany, of all the places and institutions Janet went, guess which was number one? Bethany College. You see this tie right here? It's green, right? Okay, there's a reason for that. It also has the bison on it. That's the mascot. This is a Bethany tie, by the way. I got it from the board chair a couple years ago. Also, Janet very quickly thereafter introduced me to Bright Divinity School, Texas Christian University. Unfortunately, their new president couldn't be here. He wanted to be, but they've sent a couple representatives, Dale over here and 2 or 3 others. But thank you for coming. Janet was important, Bright was important like Bethany in Janet's life, and they in turn, the college, reciprocated. It was important for them to be associated with and involved with Janet. Janet, she was supported Clark here too. Before we were married in December of '87, we attended her first Army-Navy game. Big deal. Big deal. I can't tell you who won. And subsequently, we've gone back for a number of things. I just happen to have a couple of West Point graduates here, one of whom is my classmate, Ralph Burr, and his wife, Noelle. Are you out there someplace? Thanks for coming, Ralph. And finally, that other institution was Tulane. That's where I got my master's in business. And nobody's here from Tulane, but they have called me directly when they Oh, we go? Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. But Tulane was also important. 2 years ago, I went back with Janet to West Point to celebrate our class's 60th, right, Ralph? And a few months later in the fall, Janet went down with me to New Orleans, and we celebrated my 50th down there in the business school at Tulane. So education is very important. This is where I took my 5th iteration, and I had to add a point right here. Look, we're talking about some great institutions: Bethany College, Bright Divinity School, West Point, Tulane. But there are hundreds of universities throughout this great country, and they're all great. We celebrate ours, and we celebrate the fact that you may have went to some different ones, and we'll celebrate those with you too. They're all important. I need to say that, I felt. Important, really is. Here are a few things that Janet and I, about us, that we did together. Everything we did was important. Everything was a big deal. I mean, it wasn't anything small. If we did it, we were going to do it right. We always called and sang happy birthday to our family and very close friends. Sang happy birthday. And we got into a ritual. We'd start out together, and then afterwards, Jen would coach me. She said, "Now look, when we start, let me set the tone, and then you join in." At Christmas time, I found very early we have a tradition of sending out Christmas cards. Oh, 10 or 15? No, about 200 of them. And they all have letters on them with pictures and everything. And with my technology background, not as good as Nathan's, but I was able to help her put that together. And that was very important. People appreciated receiving those, and by and large, we appreciated sending them too. But we also, she would send cards particularly to the grandkids and great-grandkids for, St. Valentine's Day or Halloween or Easter, all the other holidays. Cards going out all the time. Gifts, giving gifts was very, very important for Janet, and it became very important for me. At Christmas time, we would sit together and talk about what we wanted to get for our family and friends, but she would do most of the buying. Have any of you ever received a gift from Janet? Okay, then what I'm going to tell you won't be a surprise, but Janet was the best wrapper I've ever seen. It had to be wrapped right, or it had to get wrapped again. I could not wrap it. She wouldn't let me wrap it. I mean, it just wasn't done. So that was an extra burden on her at Christmas time and at birthdays and all. I mean, we have to get them on there, and we'll call and say, hey, Jimmy, we got some packages coming your way. They'll be there in 2 days. Because sometimes if you don't send that, we have a lot of things going on in our lives. If we're going to get them out there, we want to make sure they're received and enjoyed. This is important. One of the most important things that Janet and I did on our lives. Every year, just before we had the new budget in the school year, or the church year, we had our stewardship breakfast. We picked a restaurant. We prepared the paperwork, went to the restaurant, had a prayer, and then got started. We would go over and see what expenditures of giving we had in the current year, look and compare our income for the coming year. And most of the time, since we were young and still appeared to be, had some offering for the communities, we were getting increases in our salary. And so we would take the increase we were getting in our salary and make sure that our total giving was increased by that same percentage. If we could, we'd increase it. And so we did that every single year. Our goal for our giving, our personal giving, was to reach 50% of our income. We never got there, but we did get to 42%. And I've got to tell you that we found the more we gave, the more generous God was to us in our lives. You just didn't know, I mean, something would happen, you didn't, where'd that come from? We didn't expect it, and it's there. And you know what we did with that money that we got, we didn't expect it? You've heard in Christendom that they talk about the tithe, 10%. Well, for those unexpected gifts we got, we had what we call the reverse tithe. We would keep 10% and give 90% away. That's what pushed us up to the 42%, things like that. That's very important, and if you have never tried that, try it sometime. I guarantee you, it will help you and your family in your stewardship life. Okay, this is tough. One of the most special and wonderful things that Janet did for our marriage was to reach out to my daughters, 3 sons-in-law, 4 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. She accepted and thrived in her role as a stepmom. She loved them and did everything she could to bring us close together. It was tough because we lived far away. We were in Ohio, they were in California or Arizona or Texas, but she was successful. She succeeded. By the good news, she was successful, and her endearing titles as a result of all this are Mama J, Gigi, Grandma Janet, or just Janet. that was huge. And if you want to talk about that, they're sitting right over here, and I guarantee you they'll bring that up also. It was wonderful for all of us in the family. With 16 years difference in our ages, I'm obviously the old guy. We would talk, and our goal was, we got married, Janet not so late, but I was getting up there. But we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could live together for 50 years? And initially that seemed like it was far off. But we would have been celebrating our 37th coming up, or the same year that our oldest daughter and son-in-law, Dee and Jim, got married. So we would be 37. 37 from 50, 13 years, right? That's not too long. And so I was thinking, hey, maybe this is possible. Janet said, of course it's possible. You're going to live that long. Of course it is. And she said, in fact, you'll like this, Ralph. She said, I can see you living to 100. You may become the oldest living graduate of West Point. and I understand that's a big deal. Isn't that right, Ralph? Oh, yeah. Okay. So finally, after those conversations, this wasn't just one, we talked about this. One time she said, Clark, if I die, are you still going to go to Hawaii? We've been going every year since 2000. And I looked and I said, hon, I went to Hawaii a couple times before I ever met you, and was in the Army. But after I met you, we went to Hawaii. We've never gone to Hawaii without each other, never. And you expect that after you die, I would go to Hawaii by myself? And she said, well, Clark, I'll tell you what, if you die before I do, I'm going back. And I said, of course, you'll be some young guy. No. She said, I'm going to go to Hawaii for these reasons. We found a second church home over there. We call Hawaii our second home. We're over there now. We've been fortunate to be able to do this for 3 months. And we met three other couples. We call ourselves the Great Lakes Group. Steve and Marcia Rods are right here. They're from Albany. They got really close to Janet over the last few years, and they wanted to be here. A couple from Michigan and a couple from Minnesota. And we got really close and really fell in love with them. We met through the church. The church is wonderful. We left, and 3 days later, they're getting a call that Janet died. They couldn't believe it. I mean, we know the answer to that. We were here, and we couldn't believe it. They have a group in the church over there, Kaloa Union Church, United Church of Christ. Prayers and Squares group. They make blankets. Women get up there and they do all this stitching, make them. It takes a month or so. They made one for me, and it was delivered. I got it 2 days ago. It's beautiful. In honor of the Reverend Dr. Janet Law. I stopped crying. I couldn't stop crying. It was just. So I got to tell you. She said, I hope you'll reconsider. The day after Janet died, I made my reservation. I'll be going back to Hawaii on 3 January. I'm almost done. Not quite, but getting close. It depends on how much I live here. But I'm trying to stick to the scripture. Okay. This is good. Over the last 2 weeks, Rachel and Barbara, where are you guys? Okay. And I have received hundreds of personal visits, telephone calls, cards, text, you name it. Every one of them has been very helpful for us in dealing with the grief we're having. And we hope that in the conversations it's helping those of us reaching out to us in that same grief. So it's kind of reciprocal. And that's been very helpful. I can tell you that most of the crying I've done has been a result of those conversations. The one that I find most difficult to deal with are the ones where it starts off saying, not that we're so sorry for your loss, I'm so sorry for having lost Pastor Janet. Pastor Janet was in my life from the very beginning. I was baptized by Pastor Janet. I went through school, church school with Pastor Janet in the church. She married my husband and I. Our kids were baptized. My dad died. She did the service. So Janet's been a part of our life forever. I don't know how I'm going to get along without her. I'm telling you, I had to stop 2 or 3 times. It just started crying. Those types of messages, and we've all got them, are really tough to deal with because they're telling you a truism, and one that you think about as you reach out to people, that those are the types of things that you need to reach out to people with. I also want to thank those people, and I want to be careful here. Not everybody has the resources to do what they like to do with their money, but some people have, and some people have been able and wanted to make contributions. There were 3 scholarship funds, one here at the church, and one at Bethany, and one at Bright, and we know that monies have been going into those. I even received cash or a check that came to me. I thought, what am I doing with this? So I haven't told Nathan yet right now. I'll take anybody to come to me and turn it over to the scholarship in Washington Avenue. Okay. We're getting down to the close. These will be verbatim. I want to share with you of those communications we received, 2 of them. The first is from Mitch Albom's book, The Stranger in the Life of. How many have read it? Not many. Maybe you want to after you hear this. When someone passes, we ask, why did this person die? A better question would be, why did God give them to us? What did we do to deserve their love, their joy, the sweet moments we shared? Didn't you have such moments in your lives? Those moments are a gift, but their end is not a punishment. God is never cruel. God knew you before you were born. God will know you after you die. God's plans for you are not defined by this world. Beginnings and endings are earthly ideas. God goes on. And because God goes on, you go on with God. Feeling loss is part of why we are on earth. Through it, we appreciate the brief gift of human existence. And we learn to cherish this world created for us. But our human form is not permanent. It was never meant to be. That gift belongs to the soul. God knows the tears we shed. When people leave this earth, their loved ones always weep. But God promises us that those who leave do not. That's pretty powerful, I think. The penultimate. This was from an email I received 4 hours after Janet died. Dan, I had to be told twice the news about Janet this morning because I could not believe what I was told. Please know that my whole soul stands with you as you struggle with her loss. There is no one currently alive in the Christian church that has given more of herself nor provided such a range of excellent leadership across this church than she has. I hope you can sense in your grief that a grateful church stands and prays by your side. as you grieve. I started bawling when I read that one. It's powerful. Okay, my friends, I'm about ready to say sayonara. As I close, as I leave, I want to leave you with these words. If you love Janet, and I know you do, that's why you're here, and you want to honor Janet, truly, you need to support the things that were near and dear to her in her life. Love everyone because we all are children of God. Be generous. Be kind. Stand up for the dignity of everyone. Eliminate racism. Friends, thank you for coming to this special service for my beloved wife, the Reverend Dr. Janet Wallen. You're awesome. Thank you so much.